Hello guys, AQW Blazer 91 here, and today I'll be doing another video game collection video. This time it's based on the entire Game Boy collection. This would include the Game Boy Color, and the Game Boy Advance. And as you can see the Game Boy games, the Game Boy Color, but I moved all the Game Boy Advances right here, so I'll pick them out slowly and I'll add them onto the sofa, and then just to show off the Game Boy Advance games I have in total, because I have a big amount of Game Boy Advance games than they have with these Game Boy games. I also brought out the consoles just to show off the Game Boy consoles that I do own, and as well as in the little AC adapter that I'll explain in a moment. Right, first up, my first Game Boy was this miniature pocket one. Yep, this is the little. This is the smaller version of the big, bulky Game Boy. It still works. It still works just fine. But as you can clearly see, I've lost the battery lid for it because I got the I had the rechargeable battery pack, but it broke after a while. But it broke after I had the the SP, which I'll explain about. Here it is. It still looks pretty nice. I still like it, and that's a pretty cool looking thing. Next up, here's the Game Boy Color. This is an upgraded Game Boy system, and this one had its own library of Game Boy Color titles, but it was compatible with the original Game Boy games. You can see my face on there, just about. Yeah, with my camera there, the 3DS. It was pretty nice. It was a pretty neat console. I actually liked it. It had its own library of games, but I didn't really buy much games for it. And the last Game Boy, which was actually my personal favorite, is the Game Boy Advance SP. I absolutely loved it. Yeah, it's an amazing device, the Game Boy Advance SP. Just turn it on. Beautiful thing. It had many brilliant features that I really liked about it. It had a backlight, which then allowed you to play your Game Boy games in the dark. It resolved much of the Game Boy's dark screen, because that was what the original Game Boy Advance console was more or less criticized for, having a very dark screen. But to me, all Game Boy systems have very dark screens. You need to be in the course of the sunlight to be able to see it. So that's all free in the Game Boy games. So and here's the AC adapter I used on my Game Boy and Game Boy Color platforms. Considering you can still plug this into the tiny little slot, into this little slot here, and you can still play it on the AC from the AC adapter. So yeah, it was still pretty cool. I still liked it. And now we move on to the games, and I only haven't got very much Game Boy games. In the original Game Boy library, I have Alleyway, which came packaged with my Game Boy system, which was a mediocre version of Arkanoid and Breakout, I believe. I did a review of this on my GameSpot channel. So yes. James Bond 007, which is more or less a handheld, which was like a handheld overhead James Bond adventure. I haven't really played too much of this to even know. Metroid 2: Return of Samus, perhaps one of the Game Boy games I actually enjoyed the most. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I really love this. Oh, my Game Boy Color is going there. There you go. And lastly, Pokemon Yellow Special Pikachu Edition. This was one of the reasons. This was one of my personal reasons I wanted the Game Boy for. Being able to catch some Pokemon with Pikachu at my side. Fantastic game. I really love it. Really would want. Personally, I would really think that this should be on Nintendo 3DS Virtual Console. Just a shame it might not happen. Could, but might not. Right now we are on to the Game Boy Color games. Right, we got Perfect Dark, which was the handheld version of the N64 classic. Very complicated game, and and it has a very punishing difficulty. Pokemon Gold, well, which sadly I only played up to the first gym, and I just turned it off and I just never played it again. It was because I was too into Pokemon Yellow and I got my hands full with other games, and then the PlayStation 2 came and the rest is history for me. Pokemon Pinball, which I actually think is quite cool, an addictive game. Physics are not as realistic as a real pinball game, and it's super hard, but still fun and welcome nonetheless. I'd like to point out though, Pokemon Pinball and Perfect Dark, I forgot to point out, they play in the Rumble cartridges, in which sometimes the game will rumble if certain actions are performed, like if you hit the ball or something, or hit the flippers. And lastly, The Legend of Zelda: Oracle of Ages, which I rarely touch. To be honest, I rarely have touched many of my Game Boy games, but that's fine. They're now available on the 3DS Virtual Console, so I can get them, and hopefully I can touch them and play them again. I've only played up to the first dungeon, I think. I've forgotten. I haven't played this in years. But I'd like to point out my Pokemon Gold Barry backup has died out. Only about moments, only a year after I had the game. So wow. Right. So anyway, that's the Game Boys. So I'm gonna move all this to the side. There we go. There we go. All that is there. Now it's time to look at the Game Boy Advance games. Underneath you can't see it very well, but oh well, whatever. I'll dig them out one by one. Right. First up, Beyblade G Revolution. Yep. The developers. Another one of the developers takes on the TV show with the same name. I love the Beyblade TV show. There's gotta be some games out of it, and the result, at least in my experience, this one is actually better than the console versions. Probably the best Beyblade game by far, but still it's flawed. Bomberman Tournament, which you can probably guess by this. This is a pirated box. And they had a pirated cartridge, which was extremely faulty. But thankfully, if I can find it... Oh, I found one of the missing wrappers. Yeah, those protect your Game Boy. Those protect your Game Boy Advance cartridges. Oh, it's come out from Bomberman Tournament. Oh, alright. Alright, and here's the official cartridge of the game in PAL. I had the cartridge with this box, but I threw it away because it was super faulty. It was super broken and it was super faulty. Well, the game would still work, but the game would not save my data properly. Alright, let me just put this thing away. Just needs to... There we go. There we go, has Bomberman Tournament. I actually do like this game. Do like that game, by the way. Over here is the NES classic Castlevania. Super difficult, but still addictive and fun. Still holds up pretty well. Castlevania Double Pack, which I put it in its own little DS box because I bought the game with no box. That's one of the things I really hate about buying second-hand cartridges, especially when it comes to Game Boy Advance games. People have the tendency to throw their boxes away, or not only, and also the instruction booklets, without even realizing just how important they are. I really hate it when people do that. I never do that. I always keep my games in their boxes. Such a pain.